Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Professor Nick Mansfield. I'm the Pro Vice-Chancellor High Degree Research Training, and we're here this evening to give you a webinar presentation on Macquarie's Bachelor of Philosophy, Master of Research program. So the structure of the webinar this evening will be that I'll talk for a little while, just explaining the reason behind the program, the structure of the program, and some key information about how it works. And then there'll be an opportunity for later on for us to do a question and answer session. So let's start. The first thing is to explain a little bit about the background in research training that motivated Macquarie to move towards a Masters of Research program. Traditionally in Australia, if you're intending to go on from undergrad into a high degree research program, primarily the PhD, the Doctor of Philosophy, you undertook a fourth undergraduate year called the Honours Year. Australia is unique, and it's the only country that offers that pathway, and almost every other country in the world offers in one form or another a 2-year master's program as the key transition point from undergraduate to high degree by research study. In 2013, Macquarie decided to break with Australian practice and to follow international best practice and to adopt a 2-year Masters of Research program as our requirement for people moving on from undergrad into the PhD program. But it's also aimed at people who are interested in getting a research qualification, specifically in some areas that's a really useful qualification to be able to take out to industry. The reason that Macquarie did that was that people in PhD programs were taking a very long time to complete and often dropping out. The dropout rate was really high across all universities in the sector. And the way Macquarie interpreted that was to say that people going into PhDs aren't well enough prepared before they start. They don't have enough knowledge about their own academic discipline, and they don't have enough skills in research training. So what we would do would be to give them a much more robust and well-structured 2-year program that meant that by the time they entered into the PhD, they'd be much more knowledgeable about what research was. They'd be experienced in undertaking a research project of their own, and they'd feel much more knowledgeable about their broad academic discipline, and that's what gave birth to the Master of Research program. So the first thing to be said about it is that it's structured similarly for both domestic and international candidates, but it operates under 2 separate names. International candidates enroll from the very outset in the 2-year Masters of Research program. But for domestic candidates, because of the way the program is funded by the Australian government, they have to enrol firstly in what's identified as an undergraduate degree, the Bachelor of Philosophy. They do that for 1 year, and when they complete it, they move on to the Masters of Research. And so it has that hybrid name for domestic candidates. But the program itself between the 2 different groups is identical, same classes, same structure. Say a little bit about the structure of the program. The aim of the first year is to give you, firstly, to develop and extend and deepen your knowledge of your own academic discipline. We felt that people going on into research probably didn't know enough about both the breadth and depth of their academic discipline when they were trying to make a decision about what they should research. So the units in the first year of the program are comprised of, firstly, 6 faculty or department-based units that focus either on further academic content or else on research training. And there's also 2 other units, one research communications, which is taught differently in each faculty, which teaches you about the different methods and means and how to communicate your research across all kinds of different genres. Primarily writing, of course, which remains the fundamental form of academic communication and research, but also conference presentation, multimedia, poster presentation in some disciplines, and so on. And we also give you a Research Frontiers unit, which is again taught differently in each faculty or even in some cases in each department. And the aim of Research Frontiers is to acquaint you with what are the the most cutting-edge controversies and issues that are up for debate in research at the moment, so that by the time you start to think about what you want to research, what really interests you and what your research project is going to be, you'll be well informed about your academic discipline and you'll know what the real hot topics are. Second year of the program has a different structure because its focus is primarily on your own research project. And the goal of that year is for you to produce, as it says at the bottom of the slide, a 20,000 word thesis, which will be due in October for full-time candidates. You also do a number of other activities, but they're all designed as scaffolding that will support your research project. So you do another Research Frontiers unit. The one you've done in the first year of the program focuses on your academic, the broad academic discipline that you're working in. But the second Research Frontiers that you do in the research year is focused more on the immediate subdisciplinary area that is the focus of the context of your interest. You will also do some activities that will teach you how your academic discipline responds to previous research, to the literature that is already out there in your area. In some academic disciplines, you'll write a chapter at the outset of your thesis that summarizes and critiques the literature that discusses your topic. In others, in the humanities, for example, your whole thesis might be engaging with the literature from the beginning to the end. You'll also get some further training in research methods, primarily in what the research methods are that are relevant or possible for you to use in your topic, and why you would choose one of those methods over the others, and how you would explain that choice. And there'll also be some training in research planning and project management. As I said, all those activities are geared towards helping and supporting you through your research project. So you're not just told to go off and research something and come back when your thesis is ready. We really guide you through the different stages of how you prepare yourself to undertake that project, and finally how you put it together when it's ready. Okay, so some information about the admission requirements. First thing, you need to have completed an undergraduate degree at a recognised institution, and Macquarie uses a 7-point GPA scale, and so you have to attain the scores of 4.38 on a 7-point scale overall through your whole career, and 5.25 at 300 level, or the top level of your undergraduate degree. It's called different things in different institutions. You'd also need to provide a research proposal, which at this stage, at the very outset, is more just an indication of the area in which you'd be interested, and to show that you have some ideas that you're already thinking about what your research project can be. So just a paragraph to indicate what your interest is. And in some disciplines, admission requirements are slightly, can be different. Some disciplines will require a portfolio of work. That's true in some creative areas. Or they'll expect a higher level of performance, a higher GPA. And it's important that when you start to inquire about entering the program, that you do ask the faculty or the department that you're in discussion with whether they have any particular added entry requirements. It is possible also for you to go directly into the second year of the program, and that's appropriate for people who've already undertaken some study after their undergraduate degree. So if you have done honours at a previous time at Macquarie, or if you've done honours at another university, or if you've done some other postgraduate study, for example, another type of master's degree, a non-research master or coursework master's degree, you can be eligible to have that previous learning recognised and given credit in part or whole towards the first year of the program. For a lot of people who've undertaken an honours year or completed a master's program in the same disciplinary area in which they intend to go on in their MRES, they can be given up to a full year's credit and go directly into the second year of the program, and that's quite a common pathway for people to undertake. Macquarie is probably Australia's most active university in what's called the co-tutorial joint PhD program. So it is possible if you go on to do a PhD, it is possible for you to undertake your PhD simultaneously here at Macquarie and also at one of our international partners. And we have dozens, hundreds of international partners around the world on all continents, with whom you would be able to collaborate on your PhD project. But in order to prepare you for that, we also have an active exchange program at the MRES level. And we have partners in a number of countries, and we're always looking at furthering those partnerships. And that exchange can take place at either the first year or second year of the program. And the aim there is not only to give you a broadening of your experience, but to start you developing the relationships that might lead on to a co-tutor joint PhD down the track. And exchange opportunities are a really rich experience, not only personally, because they give you the opportunity to live and work in another country, but they're really hugely valuable for people embarking on a research career, because they allow you to develop a wholly other network, to experience the research culture of another country, perhaps to deal with research materials on research sites or with pieces of equipment that aren't available in Australia. And they just allow you to extend your horizon and learn about a whole new set of perspectives about what your research can be. So we certainly encourage that as much as possible. Okay. So just a little bit about the fees and scholarship programs that are available. The first thing is that is for domestic candidates, and this will explain a little bit about why the degree has a hybrid name for domestic candidates. The first year of the program for domestics is the Bachelor of Philosophy year, and that year is funded in exactly the same way as undergraduate programs. So if you've completed as a domestic candidate an undergraduate degree in an Australian university, you will have accrued a HECS liability. And to complete the first year of this 2-year program, the same thing happens. You will take on you'll be funded under a Commonwealth supported program, so have to pay develop a liability for fee payment down the track. Some scholarships are also available, so full-time domestic candidates who have attained a GPA of 6 out of 7 are awarded a single one-off payment of $4,000 at the census date in March, at the end of March. And if you maintain a high level of performance at a distinction level or above through the first semester of the program, you'll get that payment again at the census date in the second semester. For domestic candidates in the second year of the program, the structure is completely different, and the second year of the program is funded under a completely different government scheme, which is the Research Training Program. And the Research Training Program, the Australian government pays the fees for candidates entirely for domestic candidates. So no HECS liability is accrued and no tuition fee is required. So the second year of the program is effectively free for domestic candidates. We do also offer a number of scholarships for candidates either transitioning from the first year of the program into the second year or entering the second year of the program from the outside. And they're paid at the Australian government scholarship rate, which in 2019 is about $27,600, and it's indexed, so it'll be slightly higher in 2020. Those scholarships are awarded on a competitive basis, based on the results that you bring at your entry point or on the results of your performance in the first year of the program. For international candidates, the situation is different. So as I mentioned, international candidates are enrolled in the Masters of Research from the very beginning. And so they pay fees in both years of the program. And we do also have a number of scholarships that are available for international candidates that that are funded through the International Scholarship Round, which is in the second half of the year. And candidates are rated competitively and often given a bundled offer of fees and scholarship payment for the second year of the MRES, and if they perform at a satisfactory level, on into the PhD. And we do also work with a number of international government agencies that offer scholarships for their citizens to study overseas. And there are a number of countries, China, Vietnam, some South American countries, Middle Eastern countries, that do offer support for candidates studying in research degrees. And each of the relationships and arrangements there is slightly different. So it is important for you to inquire on application about what scholarships might be available from your home country as well to support your study here at Macquarie. Okay, the MRES is designed both as a standalone research degree for people who might want to work in research capacity in certain industries, who are interested in coming and doing a 2-year research degree and then going out seeking employment. It is a valuable degree for a lot of industries because it shows your skills in working independently, in project design management, and in undertaking a research project on your own. But it is also largely designed for people who are transitioning from undergrad on into the PhD or the Bachelor or the Masters of Philosophy, which is our second research training degree. The entry requirements for the PhD program at Macquarie is that you've completed the MRES or an equivalent degree, an equivalent research master's degree, and that you've attained the equivalent of a score of 75 or higher in the second year of the program, in the thesis year, and that will gain you entry into the PhD program. It is also necessary, of course, that the topic that you want to do is something that we can supervise, so we have to have the capacity to support your project either in material terms, but primarily in we need to have a supervisor with the expertise who's able to give you the advice and mentoring that you require through your program. There are also a number of scholarships that are awarded on a competitive basis for people entering into the PhD program, and some are reserved for people who are completing the MRES. But again, they're awarded on a competitive basis, and the competition can be pretty stiff. And the cutoff that's required changes each year depending on the number of applications and people's performance through the MRES. But Macquarie is really keen on providing the support that PhD candidates need in order to complete satisfactorily and happily. Okay, so finally a little bit about the domestic deadlines. So if you're intending to commence in the second half of the year, for domestic candidates, applications are still open till the 30th of April. They've closed at the end of March for international candidates, I'm afraid. If you are intending to start in 2020, the closing date for domestic candidates applications, both for candidature, and admission, is the 31st of October. For international candidates, the closing date is several months earlier, and that's primarily because we need to process international applications early to give students enough time to apply for visas to get here by the time courses commence. And there's also there on the screen the link to the to how you begin your application process online. But that's pretty easy to find if you go to the Macquarie website, which is mq.edu.au, and follow either the students link to research degrees, high degrees by research, or if you follow the research link, it'll take you to the PhD in research degrees. And that's pretty easy to find your way and navigate your way there, and the application process is online.